Hi everyone, we are from Group 5. Today, we are going to present Chapter 11, Motivating and Rewarding Employees. Before we start, let me introduce our members. They are Claudia Ng Chaffei, Gi Jiaqi, Ko Jiayi, Li Leiwen, and also Oyo Ling. Now, let us start with questions 11.1. Most of us have to work for a living, and a job is a central part of our lives. So, why do managers have to worry so much about employee motivation issues? Firstly, we need to understand about motivation. Motivation is an internal feeling, which means it cannot be forced on employees. The internal feelings, such as need, desire, aspirations, and the others, influence human behavior to behave in a particular manner. For example, desire to have a new house, respect, and recognition. Straight to the first point, managers have to worry so much about employees' motivation issues because motivation is a complex process. In order to motivate people, a manager must understand various types of human needs. Human needs are mental feelings which can't be measured accurately. If manager measures them accurately, then also every person uses different approaches to satisfy his or her need. Some get satisfied with monetary incentive, some with non-monetary, some with positive, while some with negative motivators. So, it is impossible to make generalizations in motivation. Next, motivation is an aspect of managerial functions of directing under execution. It is necessary as a means to induce people to work, as they are able and trained to do willingly. In other sense, motivation refers to the process by which a person's efforts are energized, directed, and sustained toward attaining a goal. Without a fully engaged workforce, an organization is less likely to achieve its objective. Once employees no longer feel interested in their jobs, companies will observe a corresponding decline in morale, output, and productivity. Managers who fail to address these issues head-on also jeopardize their own jobs, since the company relies on them to ensure that workers consistently perform at high levels. Besides, it is understood that employee motivation is vital for a company's success. A business that suffers from employees' motivation issues is subject to decreased production, faulty manufacturing, or other breakdowns in the normal operation of the business. The job of a manager in the workplace is to get things done through employees. Managers must be able to recognize flagging motivation and build employees' morale in order to maintain expected performance levels. To understand motivations, one must understand human nature itself. Human nature can be very simple, yet more complex too. An understanding and appreciation of this is a prerequisite to effective employee motivation in the workplace and therefore effective management and success of organization to attain its success. Furthermore, it helps with ongoing employee development. Motivation can facilitate a worker reaching his or her personal goals and can facilitate the self-development of an individual. Once that worker meets some initial goals, they realize the clear link between effort and result. which will further motivate them to continue at a high level. Last but not least, managers have to worry so much about employee motivation issues because the level of motivation will improve employee efficiency. An employee's efficiency level is not only based on their abilities or qualifications. For the company to get the very best results, an employee needs to have a good balance between the ability to perform the task given and the willingness to want to perform the task. This balance can lead to an increase of productivity and an improvement in efficiency. Alright, that's all from me. Now, I will pass the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lee Lei Wen. Now I would like to discuss question 11.2. What is motivation? Explain the three key elements of motivation. So, the motivation is defined as the process by which a person's efforts are energized, directed, and sustained toward attaining a goal. This definition has three key elements, which are energy, direction, and persistence. First of all, the first element is energy. Energy is a measure of intensity or drive. A motivated person puts forth effort and works hard. However, the quality of the effort must be considered as well as its intensity. Intensity is a strength of the response in the chosen direction. Typically, there is a close relationship between intensity and the expectation of a desired outcome. Intensity, or motivational force, depends on the individual's perception of the likelihood that effort will yield a certain result. This is true whether or not perception is realistic. For instance, if an individual believes a race will occur soon, it can be a motivator to pursue the goal with energy, perhaps by staying late at work and increasing output. The second key element of motivation is direction. Direction is an effort towards a goal. Direction is simply the goal that encourages the individual to action. A goal is actively chosen among a set of alternatives whether the individual realizes it or not. The goal is determined by different influences. For instance, an individual might be motivated towards a highly social lifestyle for career advancement or social status. Students may need help in finding the goal or direction to drive their educational options. Educators and counselors thus can help students find direction by observing, analyzing data, and listening to the students' passions and interests. While a teacher might guide a student to set goals or find their direction, the truly intrinsic goal-setting process and achievement is bipersonal. Students often succeed most when they take ownership and believe in themselves and process. Lastly, the third key element of motivation is persistence. Persistence is defined as the fact of continuing a work or an action despite of its difficulty or opposition. It is also the duration with which a person expends energy and efforts towards the direction of the goal. We want employees to persist in putting forth effort to achieve those goals. Otherwise, they might be sleepwalking throughout their workday, putting time but no energy or passion into their work. Now, I will pass the floor to our third presenter. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudia Ng. Now I will present question 11.3. Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is a flawed model. Discuss this statement using examples to support your answer. In my opinion, the model is not flawed as each level has to be satisfied for a person to be motivated. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are 5 levels of human needs that are depicted as hierarchical levels in a pyramid. Starting from the bottom, the needs include physiological needs, safety needs, social needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization. Physiological needs include the most basic needs that are essential to survival, such as the need for food, water, and sleep. A salary pays for most of these basic needs. The secondary needs is safety needs. Every person wants security, safety, and stability for the long term. This can also be translated into peace, order, and health. For example, these needs include the security of a roof over one's head, having enough money in the bank to be secure, or having a degree of physical health. Next, social needs is characterized by a need for harmony in one's family, friendships, and community relationships. People are social beings and need social context. They wish to belong to a group. An employee will only invest time in social context on the work floor and be loyal to colleagues when they have been given the security of a long-term contract. The employee will now feel that they are more a part of the group. After investing in social context, people need esteem and recognition by others for what they do. The employer holds a motivator with this needs category. Apart from the height of the salary, there are other factors that can motivate an employee. As a result, compliments, trust, and autonomy become important motivators for an employee. The top of the hierarchy, which is self-actualization, only made possible if the other motivational issues are met and mastered. This includes the need to be creative, spontaneous, and to try to be one's best self. A person now is free to achieve one's own stated desires. For example, an athlete wants to perform better to be the best on the team, and the business-minded person is free to build the company even bigger based on the vision of what this company should be. Now, I would like to explain about question 11.4. What role would money play in the hierarchy of needs theory, two-factor theory, equity theory, expectancy theory, and motivating employees with a high need of achievement? In our terminology, a need means that some internal state that makes certain outcomes appear attractive. In the hierarchy of needs theory, money would satisfy the lower needs in Maslow's theory and work toward the higher needs. Money might be a security need, providing shelter, food, and clothing, or it could be a self-esteem need in giving the individual a sense of self-worth. Next, in two-factor theory, money is a hygiene theory, and the theory suggests that intrinsic factors are related to job satisfaction, while extrinsic factors are associated with job dissatisfaction. The role of money has no mention in the theory. In equity theory, money becomes a measure of fairness. Money has no motivation factored in this theory. In expectancy theory, money is relevant only the individual perceives that the monetary reward is appropriate for the amount of effort. If his expectations are reached, he tends to attract more, and when the outcomes are not attractive, his motivation deteriorates. In the case of motivating employees with a high need of achievement, money is a way to measure success. The need for money is not connected nor have this dealt with hierarchy of needs.
Hi, my name is Ling. I will be explaining the question 5 and question 6. Question 5. What are some of the possible consequences of employees perceiving an inequity between their inputs and outcomes and those of others? Equity theory is developed by J. Stacy Adams, who proposes that employees compare what they get from a job, which is the outcome, in relation to what they put into it, which is the input, and then compare their inputs outcomes ratio with the inputs outcomes ratios of relevant others. The table below shows the equity theory relationships where person A is the employee and the person B is a relevant other or referent. There are 6 possible reactions when employees perceive an inequity. I will explain the first 2 possible reactions together, which are change their inputs and change their outcomes. If there is an overpayment inequity, employees might increase their inputs by working harder or lower their outcomes by working through a paid vacation or work without salary to convince themselves that their outcomes are deserved based on their inputs. This rationalizes that they work harder, better, or smarter than equivalent others, and so they deserve more pay. If there is an underpayment inequity, employees might lower their inputs by reducing effort or raise their outcomes by getting pay increase or steal time by absenteeism to convince themselves that others' inputs are really higher than their own. This rationalizes that comparison worker is really more qualified and so deserve higher outcomes. The third possible reaction is distorting perceptions of self. They may say the person they are comparing themselves to may deserve more because they have better education, experience, or produce more. The next one is distorting perception of others. The individual may begin to attack the person who they perceive is getting more, yet they give the same input. They may try to get this person to get more work delegated to them and may point out to colleagues that this person is overpaid, yet he or she doesn't do much. Besides that, employees may choose a different reference. They may think like this: I may not make as much as my brother, but I am doing a lot better than my next door neighbor. Lastly, the employees may take reaction like leaving the field, by quitting the job, seeking an alternative job, or taking early retirement. Question 6. What are some advantages of using pay for performance to motivate employee performance? Are there drawbacks? Explain. Pay for performance programs are variable compensation plans that pay employees on the basis of some performance measure. Piece rate pay plans, wage incentive plans, profit sharing, and lump sum bonuses are examples of pay for performance. What differentiates this form of pay from more traditional compensation plans is that instead of paying a person for time on the job, pay is adjusted to reflect some performance measure. These performance measures might include such things as individual productivity, team or work group productivity, departmental productivity, or the overall organization's profit performance. One of the advantages of pay for performance is worker motivation. The reasons why an employee remains in his or her job are often complex. Many individuals derive significant satisfactions from work that they find meaningful. However, workers are also significantly or primarily motivated by financial concerns. If a worker knows that meeting performance objectives will result in a compensation increase, they may be inclined to work harder and improve their skills. The next advantage is retaining top talent. You can expect that your top talent will be approached by other employers. If you want to keep exceptional employees, you must offer them a competitive compensation package. When your best employees know that they will be rewarded for their efforts, they are more likely to stay with your company. Let's move on to the disadvantages of pay for performance. First, performance measurements is often subjective. The work of some employees can be easily quantified and measured. For example, a salesperson may be asked to meet specific sales numbers for the year. However, many workers, particularly those in administrative roles, perform vital functions, but their work isn't defined by achieving specific goals. For these employees, a pay-for-performance plan could prove frustrating in large part because their evaluations are more subjective. A personality conflict with a supervisor could in some cases result in lower compensation. In addition, performance reviews are falling out of favor. The pay-for-performance model often hinges on the result of an employee's annual performance review. However, many employers are finding such reviews ineffective and are abandoning them in favor of encouraging managers to provide feedback to employees throughout the year.
I am called Jia. I will present about the question 11.7 and 11.8. For question 7, many job design experts who have studied the changing nature of work say that people do their best work when they are motivated by a sense of purpose rather than by the pursuit of money. Do you agree? Explain your position and what are the implications for the managers. From my perspective, I agree with it. Most of the people are motivated by intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. However, when individuals feel that they are making a difference, the money ceases to be the main motivator. For example, we can apply the goal-setting theory in this case. In goal-setting theory, working towards a goal will be the major source of job motivation. The specificity of goal itself acts as an internal stimulus. People will do their best work when they are given a specific goal which try to attain but not money. Besides, people do better if they get good feedback. It is because feedback help identify discrepancy between what they have done and what they want to do. When they get good feedback, they will be motivated to do their best works. Next, I would like to explain about the implications for the manager. Managers need to uncover what motivates each employee and implement any of that can motivate the employees. Furthermore, the managers need to understand the employees and offer the appropriate response towards their works. For example, job redesign, praise, and also rewards. For 11.8, as a manager, what will you need to know about goal-setting theory as a motivation tool? As a manager, I need to know that working towards a goal is the major source of job motivation. Besides, having specific and challenging goals are preferable to a general do-your-best approach. In addition, I need to know that including the employees in assigning goals can be important in getting them to buy in. The employees will be more motivated when achieve the goals that set by their own. Lastly, I should encourage self-generated feedback where possible, as research shows that when an employee monitors his or her own progress, they are motivated than when the feedback comes from someone else. Last but not least, I would like to finish with these inspiring quotes. People work for money, but go the extra mile for recognition, praise, and rewards. That brings us to the end. Thank you for your time and attention.